Hello everyone. So with Watch Dogs now upon us, we can start to have a look at the technical underpinnings of Watch Dog running on PC, and unfortunately there's some bad news. Again, for AMD owners. It would seem that Nvidia has done a bit of a deal with Ubisoft on this game, and we have the way it's meant to be played. Now, unfortunately, this also comes with yet another bit of marketing spin called Game Works Project. Now, unfortunately, what this means is games developers who work with Nvidia under this Games Works license are not allowed to, well, essentially help AMD in any way I can see to optimize their game for AMD hardware. Now, this is a really bizarre and frankly anti-competitive thing to do. Nvidia seems to have over 50% of the market, and unfortunately when companies are engaging in practices like this, just like Intel was in the 90s, generally competition commissioners get very uppity about it. So I'm going to be putting in a call to the competition commissioner in the UK and potentially in Europe as well, and just ask them to investigate this Forbes story that's broken today, which seems to suggest that Nvidia is actively, causing problems for AMD, where AMD is not causing problems for Nvidia. Essentially, within this Games Works thing, if a games developer uses some optimisations within this Nvidia Games Work package, which allows them to gain better performance on Nvidia hardware, that information, those files, that raw data, as it were, on how that is being done is not being made available to AMD in an open way. However, AMD, on the other hand, is providing things like TressFX libraries and so on, so that it will work quite nicely on Nvidia hardware. So it does seem that Nvidia is really being, well, the Intel of the 90s, using large amounts of marketing money and muscle to effectively disadvantage a competitor in a technical way. Now, we can argue until we're blue in the face as to whether that's anti-competitive or not, but ultimately if you're disadvantaging 40% of the world market using marketing dollars to lock out your competitor and ultimately disadvantage gamers worldwide, well, I think that needs investigating myself to see whether, if it was true with Intel and AMD in the 90s, whether it would be true with Nvidia and AMD in, well, the 20s. But anyway, let's find out really how this is going to stack out over time. Certainly what we're seeing from a optimization point of view on AMD hardware is passable, but not great. This is a game which so far is running reasonably well on AMD, but you can feel it's slightly under optimized.